Good afternoon. Thank you for taking some time out just to do this final checkout with us. It's been a wonderful project with us. We want to just hear a few more things about your experiences, and then we'll send you on your way. So I'm going to turn the show over to Jeff.
And this is kind of collaborative and interactive, so as we move along, we try to get you out of here in about 20 minutes. I'd like to just go around the group quickly here. I think we might as well start with Lisa from Eastwood and have you explain a little bit very quickly what your project was, what your showcase project was.
I teach math to 5th grade, and sometimes it's hard to incorporate technology into math besides watching videos on Khan Academy or playing some reinforcement games. So the kids were given a project to see how math is used in everyday life. So we took the topic geometry, and we reviewed the various characteristics of polygons. Each student was given a shape or a polygon, and they had to go out and find real examples of the shape and also describe the characteristics of the shape. And they did this in groups, and their group put together a Google presentation of where geometry is found in everyday life.
Great. I'm not familiar with the group that's under the name of Eric Spiller. I think Eric told us who they were.
That's Northeastern Group.
Okay, that's right. Okay, I'm looking right on the screen here. Does the Northeastern Group want to explain their project really quick?
Sure, we have Stephanie and Rachel here, and I'll
let one of them. I'm not even seeing their lips move, but they have like a male voice.
Yes, it's kind of amazing, isn't it?
It's a little disconcerting. All of a sudden, I saw them get ready to speak, and this Eric's voice came out. That was awesome.
Need a wide-angle lens. So yeah, I'll let them go ahead.
Okay. I teach 3rd grade, and we did a science project on animal adaptations where we used the computers to do research and to make PowerPoint presentations on our findings.
And you both work together as a team?
Yes.
I teach Title I reading, so I joined in with Stephanie and then kind of did more of the end project and the PowerPoint and whatnot.
Okay, great. Let's go over to Anna. I think we have... Anna, do you want to talk a little bit about the project, or is it repetitive with someone else?
No, mine was individual. I implemented mine with a pre-calculus class. So I asked to come up with a real-life situation that could be modeled with a sinusoidal wave. And they had to take pictures or take a video of the situation and then make a PowerPoint presentation, and we use Google Drive then to present everything and share everything within their groups, and then also present it to the class.
Anna, were y'all using Google before this project?
No, for a lot of my students, which I was surprised, this was the first time they had used Google Drive, and they really liked it.
Great. Now, thank you. Let me touch base with Cassie. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, I can barely hear you, Cassie.
Okay, let me talk louder.
Okay.
Just scream at us, Cassie.
Yeah, let's get those frustrations out for the day.
That's right, the end of year fun.
Yes. We had a positive experience at Buckeye Valley. From the tech perspective, like Anna shared, we were able to do some student training on Google, which is something we hadn't done before, and it was really well received. And the feedback that Anna got with her students using the surveys and even just classroom information, and the students seemed to enjoy that part of her project. So from a tech perspective, I was really pleased about that.
And Cassie is the tech coordinator for Buckeye Valley.
Oh, great. Okay, great. So,
Jeff, you just got called to the office,
yeah,
I think.
This normally happens in most of the meetings we have with Betsy, so I'm surprised she doesn't have to leave because she has to go to the office. Talk to us a minute, and I'll just let you guys jump in whenever you want to. When you think about what your students some positives and possibly negatives that you got in regards to your student perception of the project. What did they think about the project throughout the process? And just feel free to jump in, or I'll call on you. I'm going to call on Cassie.
Don't let him bully you, Kathy.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. I'm gonna pick on Anna instead.
So you said positive and negatives about the project?
From the student perspective.
I think this was something that I need to do a better job about, but I didn't, this was my first time doing a project-based learning task. And so I think that I needed to think through that better. I think I could have done a better job presenting it to my students. So that was feedback that I heard from them. I think I was kind of confused between whether this was going to be an assessment or whether this was a way to introduce new concepts. So I need to straighten that out for myself next year. The technology part they really enjoyed, and I heard a lot of comments that they appreciated having the opportunity to actually find math in the real world. So those were the technology and the opportunity to apply the information were two positive parts of the feedback that I heard.
When you talk about a better way of presenting it, can you give me a little more specific, and also know that in all of these questions that we're asking you, it's how to help us better structure professional development in the future. So give me a little bit more on what you mean by that.
I guess that I'm just not comfortable with what a project-based learning task entails. So I think I was then not able to implement that very well with the students. I think maybe my expectations for myself and what I was hoping for, I didn't have clarified well enough to then give that task to the students.
And so after going through the process and seeing what worked and what didn't, is this something that you would continue, like you would try again next year? Do you feel like you need more PBL training before you try it again? Where do you stand with your comfort level in that?
If I would do it as a project-based learning, I would definitely need more training. So okay. I liked the project a lot. But if I were to do it as project-based learning rather than like a summative assessment task, I would need more training for the project-based learning.
I would, Amy, I would add to that just that I think one of the things that we found limiting here at Buckeye Valley was just the timeline itself. It seemed like we felt very pushed to get it worked in before testing and other things. We were also piloting OPAP, and so there were lots of things going on this winter, spring for us. I think if we were to, one recommendation I think I would make is I felt like our teachers would have benefited from, how we did like the opening day where we came and you kind of gave an overview. And then for us, Shane came and worked with us. We could have almost used one more day to develop the project before they did it with students. I mean, would that have helped you, Anna? If we'd at least had one more day to just kind of, we took what Sean did that day was very useful for us, but we almost needed a day to process that, then work on the lessons, and then have somebody kind of tweak it, review it, talk to us about how it was going to go. Does that make sense?
It does. So, and to follow up on that, and this can be a question all of you can address if you felt like more PD was necessary. One of the things we always struggle with is how much time to take you out of the classroom. So how would you want that PD? But sometimes getting out of the classroom allows other distractions, allows you to minimize other distractions so you can focus. So what would be your ideal? Would it be getting off-site to work on your project? Is it us coming to you? Is it video conferencing for short periods of time? What do you think? What would you want?
Again, I would say for what we saw, Shane coming to our building was very useful because it allowed us to use the tools that we had in a real world kind of setting. I think you're right. I don't know that it needs to be an entire day. I think it could be pieces and parts. Maybe it's a webinar where we're still using our equipment or sharing what we have here, but not having to be out of the classroom so long.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate that.
Let's go back to, now that you've adjusted your camera, we have Lisa and two halves of people at Eastwood. So would you want to address the question? All of a sudden, it just keeps shifting. I get like different people showing up. No, that's all right.
We now have Carrie Hildreth, who teaches English language arts
Hi, Carrie.
for 5th grade as well.
Great. And you also work with Betsy?
Correct.
Huh, okay. Let's leave it at that. We were just talking a bit about student perceptions, positives and negatives. What were some things that jumped out at you as you worked with the project? And Lisa, feel free to jump in there also about what your students came back and said, wow, I really liked this part of it, or I really didn't like, what were some things?
My students really liked the opportunity to take part in this project where they were able to see a real change in the school. One thing we were working on was solving the problem of food waste in our cafeteria. And so since our students kind of proposed this issue, we now have this system set up in the cafeteria where students are able to put any unused food. And so they really were, through working together and doing some research, the end result gave them this tangible way of saying, like, yes, we did something, we made a change, and they felt really great about that. It wasn't necessarily the original intended outcome of the project, but I would say that was the biggest success overall.
How about you, Lisa?
One of the biggest benefits I saw when the kids were using the Google presentation, which I was lucky enough that they were already familiar with Google presentation. Towards the end of the project, I had kids sitting in groups and working on the netbooks, and I was walking around and they were editing each other's slides. They were using the chat section on the side, and they're like, I really liked your picture you used, or hey, you spelled this word wrong, or good characteristics. So I thought that was really neat that they were commenting on each other's slides. Also, my kids got to use Bubble Us to create a hierarchy for the different characteristics of the polygon. So that was new for them because they didn't understand Bubble Us. And the one thing I joked with Betsy about is the students picked up better and faster on it than the adults did when we went to our Web 2.0 tools session. So that was fun.
It tends to be that way, wouldn't you say? Let's talk to the folks at Northeastern. What were some observations you had with your students?
I know they enjoyed being able to use the technology, use the computers to search, sort of find their own information, rather than just, me giving them the information about the different ecosystems and animals in those ecosystems. I think they liked a lot of them hadn't had a lot of experience with PowerPoint before, and they liked being able to find pictures and find their information and sort of put that all together. I had them working in small groups, and I thought they worked pretty well together doing that.
One thing with being in the small groups and being on the PowerPoint and using the computers, all the kids in the group actually wanted to be involved. Not necessarily maybe when they were looking for information in books and stuff, but when they were able to look for the information in the computers or do it on PowerPoint and put that together, then they actually all worked together and were able to put it together, so that was good.
Great. Now, I'll throw this out to the group and then I won't call on you. Somebody can jump in. When we look at, if we were to do this project again, and you, of course, being our test subjects, what are some things that you might suggest we keep in for future districts if we're working this project? And what are some things that you'd like to see taken out? What wouldn't be necessary to have? You get where I'm going with this?
I would have liked more training on the iMovie, so not only more training on the PVL, but I didn't feel very comfortable. Cassie kind of gave me my own private tutorial on iMovie, but I would have appreciated a little bit more time with that. And Cassie said this already, but I really enjoyed the day that Shane came. I felt like I learned so much when he came, and it was the three of us with Shane. I just learned so much that day. That was really helpful.
So we're thinking a little more PD, maybe a little specialized PD. I think you had mentioned a bit ago in regards to even just some project-based learning, might be helpful to do some building blocks there. How about our folks at Northeastern?
I don't know. I think my students had difficulty being third graders with some of the survey questions. That was an issue. Something that I would recommend changing.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. As we look at the different groups, that same issue may be a non-issue with folks that are working with high school kids, right? But because you're with the third graders, it creates, and vice versa. There might be situations that you're not dealing with at the third grade level that some folks are going to be dealing with at the high school level. So,
Yeah, we appreciate that feedback. That's good
great.
to pass on to ODE as well. So what was most valuable, because we're looking at repeating this project for others. So what, from the Northeastern group, what would you say this was the best, don't get rid and change that? What did you like most? It's okay if you say me. Just throwing it out there.
Would you say the experience with PBL?
Yeah, I guess it was nice to learn about PBL. I didn't know a whole lot about it before. That's an advantage I have, I guess.
Okay.
do you see, and I'll ask other folks, do you see what you got out of this project now something that you're going to, maybe some skills that you're now going to be applying in your class next year?
I think I would if I could cover more content with one project. The project I did, I don't think covered enough content areas to be able to justify using it again. It just took up a lot of time last time that I was limited on, considering we were preparing for a test, testing coming up. So if I were to use it again, I think it's nice that I would use it, but I would have to come up with something that covered more content areas.
Okay.
For it to
Hannah,
be,
what's your thoughts on things to keep?
So, Jeff, we are almost out of time. Are there any final questions that you want to ask? Well, then I will close this out. I want to thank y'all so much for being a part of this pilot project. We learned a lot. I hope you got some great experiences out of it. I will also tell you we're always here for you. So even next year when you are going to maybe pull some of the resources from things you were introduced to, if you have questions, always give us a call. We love to help.